Folks, welcome back to the program. This is Chris in England. If you've watched this program for any time, you've probably noticed how I have pointed out that the media in South Africa is a major component of damaging the relations between the United States and South Africa. And they do it with glee. Now, it's shameful when publications in South Africa run things that are intentionally designed to undermine the relationship. And so appears an op-ed piece today in the Times Live. It's titled South Africa and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a dangerous diplomatic entanglement by Isaac Mpho Mokhotsi. Now, he says a few things. He says Marco Rubio, along with Vice President J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel, have become formidable foes of democratic South Africa. Rubio's past sheds light on this stance. Now, the op-ed really doesn't say much about Rubio's past. It acknowledges that Rubio and Trump had difficulty in the past when they were running as opponents for president, and it talks about Rubio being Cuban American, but then attributes all sorts of things that have nothing to do with Rubio to Rubio. He continues, Rubio, perhaps even much more than Trump himself, looms large as a diplomatic and potential and political foe of democratic South Africa, who is likely to continue to give life and fuel to the decidedly ruinous lie about a so-called white genocide in the country. Now, my question is, what are you talking about? He offers no evidence, no statement, no references whatsoever to Rubio saying anything like this at all. So why is it that I keep discovering in the Times Live, in op-ed pieces, the constant need to put democratic in front of South Africa? South Africa is anything but democratic. You have a corrupt political system that is geared towards supporting the supremacy of political parties and not representing the people of South Africa. When you feel the need to constantly put democratic in front of South Africa as an adjective to describe it, then perhaps maybe it's not so democratic. And this white genocide, let's see, when have I heard Rubio talk about that? If he's ever said it, hasn't been recently. But you just mentioned it once again. The media, once again, fueling the nonsense of white genocide and blaming other people for it. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance may also in the future emerge to vie for the title of the most formidable opponent of South Africa in the Trump administration, given allegations of his closeness to Peter Thiel. So because J.D. Vance knows Peter Thiel, that means he's an opponent of South Africa? No, J.D. Vance is a reasonable, cogent thinking person. It doesn't take much to be an opponent of South Africa. South Africa goes out of its way to undermine U.S. national security interests and insult America on almost a daily basis. I mean, after all, you sent a race-hustling racist to be the ambassador in the United States. An openly racist commentary from that person. So what exactly do you expect us to say other than to believe this nonsense? Now, he says the closest between Vance and Thiel makes the former prone to continue Elon Musk and Rubio's baseless propaganda offensive against democratic South Africa. What is this nonsense? This focus on Elon Musk. Musk is not even talking about South Africa. He hasn't talked about South Africa in about 4 or 5 months. Elon Musk has gone back to his businesses. He's not involved in this at all. And he's focused on England and the United Kingdom and the erosion of freedom of speech in that area. Not even talking about South Africa. This obsession with Elon Musk is ludicrous. And now they're obsessed with Peter Thiel. He says Rubio is nothing if not the lifelong and highly dedicated anti-communist lusting for the overthrow of Cuba's communist regime and quick to inflict severe painful punishment on countries, weak ones especially, he perceives as being too closely aligned with Cuba, such as Venezuela and seemingly South Africa. Really? And what evidence of this do you have? Can you offer something here to make your point? No. This is just an empty-headed opinion with no basis in fact. You know, if you're going to offer analysis, at least give some factual points that people can focus on other than just your opinion, which makes no sense whatsoever. Rubio seems particularly determined to stamp his fingerprints all over Trump's bilateral relationship towards South Africa. Okay, I'll bite. How so? What does he offer to support that assertion, the author? Nothing, except pointing out that Rubio is the Secretary of State and for now, also the National Security Advisor. Now, this article also dribbles into shameless anti-Israeli rhetoric that has nothing to do with the topic. Presumably, he's hoping that Jew haters will also hate Marco Rubio because of his alignment of Rubio with the Jewish lobbying community. But of course, he offers no evidence for that. Is Rubio on any of these committees? Is he an advisor? Is he a board member? Has he served with any of these organizations that you have an issue with? No, this is disgraceful. Times Live, you sometimes provide very informative and helpful opinion editorial pieces. This is pure garbage. And this is the sort of thing that undermines the relationship with the U.S. You have these authors given space and ink in South Africa who intentionally insult the United States and undermine foreign policy. You have no evidence of any of the things you've said in this op-ed. Nothing whatsoever. Yet, nonetheless, Times Live publishes this, and you can find it right there on the main page. talking about how Marco Rubio and JD Vance are opponents of South Africa. They may very well be that. But in order for us to believe you, you need to give us some evidence rather than just your empty-headed opinions. Folks, this is why the media is so dangerous. So dangerous. People are entitled to their opinion, and op-ed pieces are fine. But they've got to be rooted or grounded in some truth, not simply the wild assertions of conspiracy theorists who hate America, who hate white people, and who hate real democracy. They lust, they crave monarchical overrule. I have no basis to make that statement, but why can't I? I mean, after all, the author of this op-ed can make such ludicrous statements. Mr. Mokhotsi can say whatever he wants, so I can say that he, as a South African, craves for monarchical overrule. He must be a Zulu. You see the dangerous nonsense that happens when you make assumptions and stereotypes? Not a single shred of evidence offered about Marco Rubio being anti-South African. To be fair, I think he probably does have an issue with South Africa, but most cogent, lucid, reasonable people have a major issue with South Africa and its racist laws, its oppression of its racial minorities, and its conduct internationally. While they think they're on the side of the angels, they're not. Siding with terrorists and state-sponsored terrorism is not where the angels are at. What say you, folks? Is the media responsible for part of the problem between South Africa and the United States? I say so. What are your thoughts? Cheers.